My name is Alicia Barrientos, and I will be interviewing Vinny Carta today. Can you indicate to me why and how your interest in medical school developed? What have you done to demonstrate your commitment to this profession?
I don't really remember when I first became interested in medical school and becoming a doctor, um, but I think it was when my dad used to suggest it to me when I was younger. I've always been proficient and excelled in my science classes, and I think he saw himself in me since he also majored in biology in college. Um, because I always work hard and excelled in those classes, he wanted me to pursue the dream that he had when he was in college, that he gave up when he went into pharmaceuticals and started to support his family. Um, After several years of going through several majors and some indecision, I decided to make that dream my own. And I've been able to see firsthand the real difference that doctors and medical professionals can make in people's lives. Whether this be through timely procedures that are done in the heat of urgency or simply giving advice to patients who need to hear some words from a professional. Doctors really do have a great influence on the people around them. I think through solid practice and sound medical knowledge, this can be extremely beneficial to society and to the individuals in that society. It can allow for the elderly to remain healthy in their old age. It can help young adults um, keep up their health, and also to have safe practices when growing their families. Um, I believe that my abilities as a doctor would be able to add a knowledgeable voice to the medical field. And I also think it would be able to aid those that I come in contact with, whether through simple words of encouragement or through proper medical treatment.
Great answer, thank you. Indicate how and why you chose your major. How has this choice benefited you both personally and professionally?
Well, when I started at the University of South Florida, I chose biomedical sciences as the major that would best help me pursue a career in the medical field. Over my time as a college student, I've majored in biomedical engineering, advanced physiology and kinesiology, religion, elementary education, and also nursing. And finally, I came to the decision to major in biomedical sciences. I think that I've always wanted to be in the people business, whether that be leading parishioners in a church or teaching children in a school or working in a medical environment. I've always wanted to help people. And I found that my efforts are best focused in the sciences because I find those subjects extremely satisfying to study. And I hope to use this knowledge to hopefully figure out ways to fix and work on the human body through medications, procedures, and treatments. I've always wanted my major and my education to mean something. Um, I want my major and the knowledge I gain from it to help the people I'm around in some way. I think that a major with few tangible benefits is a hard pill to swallow. So I believe that a major that focuses my greatest strengths while also pointing me in the right direction of my future career is the most beneficial major for me to choose.
And have you done anything professionally with your education?
So far, I haven't been working in in the medical field. However, I have used my knowledge of the sciences to get an EMT certification.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm sorry?
That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Well, I plan to use that in the future to work in emergency medicine. But I think that that is the first first way that my major has helped me is direct me towards that and also to direct me towards medical school in the future.
Describe your ideal life to me. Where do you see yourself in 10 years from now?
That's a big question. In 10 years, I hope my life's going to look a lot different than it does now. If all plans go accordingly, I will be graduated from medical school, hopefully finishing up my residency and starting a fellowship. I want to be very certain of the area of medicine that I'd like to specialize in, and I hope to excel in that area. In 10 years, I will be married, and we will have a child or two on the way. We have always wanted to adopt, so in 10 years, I hope um, to have a son or daughter who sees me and my wife as his or her parents, even though we might not be related to them. In 10 years, I want to have a home. It doesn't have to be spacious or lavish, but I would like a place to call my own. A place where I can come back after a hard day's work and kick off my shoes and cook a nice meal for my family and ask about my wife's day at work. In 10 years, I'm going to be 35, and I expect those surrounding years to be the peak years of my life. I'll be in the process of growing and advancing my career, growing my family, watching my wife becoming a loving mother and successful in her own career. In 10 years, I can't wait to see my parents become grandparents and experience what they were like when they were raising me and my sister as small children. I want my life to be stable, not only for me and my wife, but also for our immediate and extended family. And I think finally, in 10 years, I would like to have made an impact on others, both in the healthcare profession and in my personal life.
That's wonderful. That was really great to hear about your plan for your life 10 years from now. But describe for me a time when something negative happened to you or you went through something difficult, but later in hindsight you were able to view positively. What is something like that that you've gone through?
Sure. Well, when I was 20 years old, I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and also generalized anxiety disorder. I had several years prior where I went undiagnosed with symptoms of that, and when I was 20 in my sophomore year of college, I made the greatest and hardest decision of my life up until that point, to drive home from the University of Florida and see my parents and explain everything to them. Telling your parents you've wanted to kill yourself is one of the hardest things imaginable, because a parent never wants to hear those words come out of their kid's mouth. Wondering if there had been any signs that they had missed, or if there was anything that they could have done differently to change that. And as a child, you never want to have to put your parents through, thinking those things. Between the imbalance of serotonin and norepinephrine in my brain and the social aspects of my life that had led me there, I had a decent way to go before finding my way back to a normal life. I saw counseling for a year and took several medications. And during that time, I had to reteach myself how to approach everyday experiences, how I thought through scenarios in my head, and how I viewed myself as a person. I had gotten so used to a self-deprecating lifestyle, I barely recognized myself. Every thought I had was negative, always spinning in certain ways to hurt myself or put myself down. And over the span of 4 years, I relearned how to live and enjoy life. I've learned much from these experiences and wouldn't change anything, because I wouldn't be the same person that I am today without these experiences and these things that I've gone through. I went through self-imposed hardship after hardship, but it was all worth it because it made me confront the worst parts of myself and realign those things into something positive. I now have a template that I want to keep for the rest of my life on how to build relationships and basically live a happy, fulfilling life. And I can now recognize my symptoms of depression and anxiety, and I no longer attribute those to a bad day or just saying that's how I am. I can now see that those were signs of something different. I'm no longer willing to settle for a life that my depression and anxiety gave me. And if I can help just one other person by telling my story, or someone who's going through something similar, and I can empathize with them, well, it will have been more than worth it.
Wow. You definitely sound like you've grown a lot over the past few years. And I'm sorry you had to go through something so personal, but I truly feel your firsthand experience is going to set you apart from other doctors and other professionals in your field.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for being so honest with me just now.
Sure.
On to our next question. It's different path. How would you describe your leadership style? And give me an example of when you had to adjust your techniques to address the needs of a group.
That's a great question. I think I would describe my leadership style in two different ways, probably authoritative and also democratic. I really like to lead a group by example and make sure that everyone is on the same page. Um, but I also like to get input and ideas from the people around me, whether those be in a group or a team setting. I'm well aware that I do not know everything, and everyone on a team has something to bring to the table. So I think it would be unwise to disregard other members of a group just because of a title or a lack thereof. So as a leader, I like to lay out my game plan and then allow others to voice their opinions. The brainstorming process involves pitching ideas and throwing out the ones that don't serve the purpose of the team. As a leader, I recognize that my opinions and ideas are not always the best, and I allow my team members to overrule me in the best interests of the group if they so decide. However, that does not mean that I will not make my ideas known. I feel very strongly that it's important that no matter how you feel about your ideas, that you should make them apparent to your team members so that they can take those into consideration as well. Um, uh, on the same thread, I'm aware that leadership styles, one leadership style does not always fit every group that you lead. For example, when I was taking my EMT certification courses, I quickly became one of the top learners in the class, and I would help guide other students through simulations if our instructors were called away or busy with other students. Some students appreciated a hands-off approach where I would give them minimal to no help, and I would guide them through the simulation. What I would often do would be to throw in surprise symptoms for the patient that they were examining, or if they made a mistake, I would quickly change the scenario to basically incorporate their mistake and make the situation more difficult. What these changes did is it allowed the students to think on their toes, and it usually corrected their mistakes, and they wouldn't make them again. For others, they would need a more involved, hands-on approach. And what this involved would be using guiding, leading questions, sometimes repeated, that would allow them to focus on a certain area of the patient that maybe they hadn't thought of, or that they just need a little bit more help with. And what this allowed them to do would be to recall key information while also giving them confidence to continue their treatment. My view of leaders would be seeing them as teachers. We want to guide our team towards the goal in mind, while also creating better team cohesion and supporting one another. I think this allows for the free flow of creativity and also gives everyone an equal chance to contribute to the end goal, whatever that may be.
Oh, that was a great example of how you picked up on people's errors and, rather than reprimanding them or telling them you're doing it wrong, it was really great that you took that initiative to make it a teaching moment. So,
Absolutely.
Great example.
Thank you.
Which do you think is a more important quality for a good health professional? To be an independent thinker or to be a team player?
Well, as a health professional, I believe we're called upon to live to a higher standard. Providing care for others requires a certain moral compass, as well as certain characteristics that allow us to care for patients while also remaining objective. I believe that an independent thinker, while being an independent thinker while also being a team player creates the best type of health professional. So incorporating both of those characteristics. As the member of a team, other members can support you in the decisions that you make as a group, while also holding you accountable for any errors that you make. Working as a team player also allows for brainstorming and counting on others for information and knowledge that you may not have access to or that they may be more proficient in. And it also gives you different ways of approaching problems, as we all have different ways of solving those. As an independent thinker, I think a health professional can tackle a challenge in ways that may be less suitable to a team player. While some teams may come up with a certain solution, being an independent thinker can help remove the bias of groupthink and help create new ideas that the group may not have thought of. I think both of these qualities are excellent in a health professional and have their optimal times in the healthcare environment.
Definitely. Good answer.
Do you have any more questions for me today?
No, that is everything. You answered all the questions I have prepared for us.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Ms. Barrientos.
Of
And
course.
I look forward to hearing from you soon.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much.
Have a nice day.
You too. Thank you.